What's up, everybody? It's Keefy from Ghost Cult Magazine, ghostcultmag.com, and I am here with Greg from Allegaeon. Greg, how you doing?
Dude, you look really good today.
Thank you, man. I feel really good. This has been a crazy weekend where everybody's complimenting me in interviews. Thank you.
He looks good.
Thank you, Greg. I feel strong. It's the flannel. I feel strong.
Flannel is always good.
It's cold out. We're here in Brooklyn, New York at the Kingsland. Shout out to the Kingsland at the listening party for Allegaeon's brand new record, Apoptosis. And pretty pumped up about it. It's coming out on Metal Blade in 2 weeks, August 19th. Nope, April 19th. Motherfuck me. Why did I say August? Anyway, cut.
We can edit it out.
Edit that out. Or not. We'll just leave it in because this guy's evil. Apoptosis coming out on April 19th from Metal Blade Records.
Dude, you know what I really love about calling the record Apoptosis is because it's like people don't know how to pronounce it, much like our band name. It's perfect. It's like a pop tart by a leggy blonde. I don't fucking know.
Cool.
By alligator pie. That was the best one. I just from Alexa just called Allegaeon alligator pie.
That's crazy, man. I think the Aeon and the end of it throws people, but Allegaeon and apoptosis, for you science nerds or non-science nerds, I'll explain, is usually a term you hear about in biology and the pharmaceutical industry and biotech. It means cell death or programmed cell death. It's how medicine works to explode cancer cells and other things like that. But in reference to the context of this awesome new Allegaeon record, I'm going to say, I think it's really interesting. The place I want to jump off with you, Greg, about this record is it seems like you guys have really kind of broken the style of the band down to its bare elements and built it back up again. Everything, the tech death stuff is more techy, the shreddy stuff is more shreddy, the gutturals are more guttural, the mellow stuff is more mellow. It's kind of like living your best life as the band, basically.
Thanks, dude.
You're welcome. I feel that from the heart.
I kind of it's one of those records that I'm just glad it's done. You know, it was a giant pain in the ass. When Proponent Sentience came out, like I was so like proud, and it was one of those things you could just kind of like, man, we did it. We did this thing. And you can't, it was such a, like, I guess for me, it was such an achievement. It's one of those things that it's like, I don't know if we can do that better. So we need to like kind of like go off in another direction type of thing. So, and you know, there was conscious things like you've had a big orchestral intro the last couple of records. You can't do that this time. You know, you got to do something different. And then, but we were touring so much. A lot of this was just like a very primal way of writing. Like there was no time to fucking nitpick. You're under the gun. Like shit has to go. I mean, like we're going to the studio at this time because you need to go straight out to Summer Slaughter. So like, you know what I mean? So it was a very painful process.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. I didn't know that, but it definitely shows the hard work, the labor is in the love in this record. I really love it's really well written, complete songs. There's no wanking. It's not for the sake, oh, look at how great we are. It's like really beautifully constructed songs. I know you talked about the opening. The opening track is just like, reminds me of some Blotted Science, like really crazy prog, almost not metal. It's so prog, but I mean, this is definitely a brutal record and a really well thought out, well constructed record from start to finish.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah. Obviously you guys have been touring a ton and obviously worked on the record a lot. Like in preparation to, as you're writing, as you guys are getting together, do you sort of up your game? Do you play, learn new things, acquire new skills, learn new scales, continue to woodshed, work on, is there anything you do in preparation to write new stuff with the guys or
not really. I definitely not for this one. This one was, like I said, it was very primal, so it was kind of just like you just need to go, it was just go and there's two songs on the record, Extremophiles A and then Interface Meiosis, that are through composed. Like normally we're using pop song structures, there's a verse, there's a chorus. Those two, they don't have those, and that's just how they came out. Which is something that we probably would have curbed, like if we had way more time, we might have just gone, hey man, we like, we need our because pop formats. There's a reason why pop's successful, and we like to be catchy, and we like to scratch all our itches. Like we want to play our instruments because we're nerds, but also songwriting has to be there, and it's hard to songwrite when you're doing through composed type stuff. So, we were just so under the gun. I wouldn't say that was like a we need to learn new things. Right now I'm busy learning new things because I want to be excited about guitar again. So I've been taking lots of lessons, which has been amazing. But not during the writing, I don't think.
What kind of stuff are you learning? I'm curious.
I sat down with Miles, who was in Rings of Saturn for a bit, and I just picked his brain about was having a real weird issue coming out of sweep picking into just straight alternate picking type thing, and I just couldn't figure out why I can do it. I couldn't do it. It was like, so I'm sweep fine, and I can alternate pick fine, but going between them, it was just like always when I got to that point, it just like fucked up, and I couldn't figure out why. And I guess Miles is like, oh, you're moving your hand like a millimeter too far in the sweep, like super tiny little stupid things, and it was like, just don't follow through all the way, and then you basically start your alternate picking a little bit earlier. And it was like, oh, well, there you go, fine, easy fix. And so Miles rules. And then hey, passed some stuff from Sims, Cassian, like some exercises in, which were amazing. And then I've been taking some jazz lessons with a guy named Kyle Green, who lives in Portugal. It's been pretty amazing. And those have been like even more fun because having a classical background, I speak the language of music, my degree, and I study jazz. So the fact that he'll just mention something and I know exactly what he's saying, and it's just not how I'm used to applying it. It's a blast. Like we had an hour lesson. I laughed half the time. I'm like, Jesus, fine, I will do it that way. And we had a great time, and it was a very great experience. And I can't wait to, do more of that. Just learning is fun. If you're not learning and you're not, getting better, you're kind of standing still or, dying a little bit, and I kind of felt like I hit this stagnant, part in my guitar playing, so I needed to kick my ass into doing some stuff.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that. It's words of wisdom and inspiration. I'm kind of thankful that I got to live in a time where the highest minded, highest idealized guitar playing is can live both within jazz and death metal at the same time. This is my life, and I'm super lucky. Haven't been a jazz fan all my life. Do you have any particular favorite jazz guitarist? That's a good question.
I really liked Mike Stern, and I just recently we toured. We did that tour with Nail of Scarce when we went to Europe, and Per Nilsson came out, and I had to admit that I had never really listened to Alan Holdsworth, and I got reamed. I got reamed out. So, listening to a little bit of Alan Holdsworth, and it's still a little bit over my head, but putting the effort in, and eventually, if you put the effort in, you'll understand it at some point. And then Pat Metheny, of course. You have to say Pat.
I hear a lot of Pat in your style, so that's kind of cool that you mentioned him.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome, man. I'm a little older than you, so Holdsworth is in the lexicon here for me growing up, but he's a little before your time. So
he's
when the guitar synth was so weird and obscure for people, and it was foreign, and people would roll their eyes. And then Holdsworth puts on a clinic, and he would do a record with Bill Bruford that would peel your face off, and it was not remotely close to metal, but it also wasn't like the frilly pomp 70s prog. It was real progressive music, and it was brilliant, and you had to listen to it a bunch of times to even absorb it.
It's been really interesting discovering by doing this, running into people that are like, I hate jazz, and it's like, why? And they give their reasons or whatever. And it's like, oh, you don't understand what's happening, and it's a huge thing because, throughout, there was one point that I hated Bach. And then when I had to play Bach, I'm like, oh, this guy's amazing, and it's that until you understand something, you don't like it. you know. I wish vegetables were the same way. I still can't deal with them, but
what vegetable in particular do you not like? I hate Brussels
tomatoes.
sprouts.
I cannot stand tomatoes. They're in everything that I do.
Do
like,
you have
but I
an
can't
allergy?
do it.
There's ketchup right on the table here behind us.
Yeah, see, but that's not. That's like a sugary tomato syrup.
That's also true.
Yeah, so I definitely can deal with ketchup. Sugar.
No sugar. Fuck you, high fructose corn syrup. We're on to your games. Big Corn.
Man,
watch that movie.
Such a weird turn.
This is going to be one of those interviews.
It's going to be one of those.
As usual, shout out to Metal Blade artists. They're not afraid of anything. You can talk about anything, and we may. I really love this record. I was going to just sort of to veer back onto the record for a second and talk about, you mentioned you guys were kind of feeling some pressure and a time constraint. Do you do a lot of pre-production as well as writing, or do you just kind of go in and...
All the writing is done with pre-production. So, you know, I mean, that's great because it saves us a lot of time. It's like when we finish writing, that's the pre-production done. So then, you know, just export the stems, send them to Dave Otero, and then it's all done. And we come in the first day and everything just flows right in, put all your time signatures, lay all that out, and there it is, you know? So, yeah, really quick. And we tend to get better at it each time we do it. So it saves us a little bit of time. So.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you mentioned Dave. Dave is a master. Dave Otero, you guys have a long history with him.
And his head.
Right. And a lot of work with him. And what's sort of about your relationship with him keeps bringing you back to him?
It's been really strange because, you know, we did our first EP with him in 2007. And it came out in 2008. And then, of course, our first record, 2009, came out in 2010, and then we were in talks with him to do our second record, which our management at the time also managed in Castleman out in Escondido, California. So, you know, that just worked out that way. And then Daniel and our other guitar player Ryan were pretty good friends, and I think I was just always really I just had a relationship with Dave. So when Ryan left, it was just, I wanted to go back to Dave because he's a friend. And the older I got, the more I understood what his role was. I mean, when we first started going, him and I used to fight like cats and dogs, I think. He would have these suggestions. I'm like, no, man, you're not changing my music. But now that I'm older, it's like, oh, man, whatever makes a song better, I'm down to try whatever. And it's a lot of just me growing up and accepting, you know, for his help, really, you know. So, yeah, and it's, you know, a massive amount of respect for him. And, you know, he's a great guy too, you know, which always helps.
That helps. That's true. I think people don't, we were talking before the interview about pop music, and I think what people don't appreciate is a lot of the more popular bands, the more mainstream bands, need a producer that actually writes for them. And Dave is a producer who works with master musicians and writers, and he doesn't have he can suggest things, and he certainly has great ears, and you want a fresh set of ears who is not so connected to these songs that are like your little children till the record is done. But what's great about a guy like Dave, I think, is that you know, none of his records sound the same, but they all sound great. They're all really well done. His production's really tight. It could also be the combination of his production and different mixes I've heard, but I think he's a guy that really brings a lot to the table and, you know, can bring the best out of a band like you guys. So I think it's really sweet.
Absolutely. And he, you know, one thing that I've been kind of amazed about is that, you know, sometimes we'll go, hey man, we want to do something. He's like, you can't do that. And we're like, hey, why? He's like, because you're a Legion and that's not your sound. So, which at some point it's just like, dude, don't tell me what I can do whatever. But he, you know, he's spent so many years with us that he is responsible for a lot of how we sound, you know, and he has cultivated that sound with us, which it's so weird. He records us in one way. And then when he does like a band like Primitive Man, that is a completely different experience. And he'll tell us about how he records that. I'm like, really? Like that would have never occurred to me. And it's like different music, man. Like you have to record it a different way. And he just knows metal so well that he knows how every band, like he records bands completely different depending on what genre they are, which is, you know, really impressive.
Oh, he can't repeat himself, and Primitive Man is tuned down to the key of hell, and so like no one sounds like them. Shout out to Primitive Man, we love those guys. Why do you have so many people in the band with Michael or Brandon in their name?
I mean, that's the reason why we do not call him Brandon Michael.
Yeah, there's just no way. I mean, you could fuck up hotel clerks with that really well, though. I think
that's why we call him Boo Boo.
I understand that Lenny Kravitz used to check into hotels as Kenny Lavitz, and that was one of his names, as well as I think he also checked in as George Jefferson as a tribute to his mom. So, but yeah, you could really mess with people if you checked in, like send those two guys to the desk and have them check in back to back and just fuck with people. Yeah. Especially at hotel chains you don't like, if there's such a thing.
Not lucky enough to stay in a lot of hotels.
Over 10 years as a band, hard to keep a lineup stable. You know this very well. Lucky for you, lineup changes have worked out in your favor. Sometimes a lineup change will destroy a band. You guys have been very lucky, first with Riley, and now you have a new bassist. Mm-hmm. So how did we get this guy in the band? How did he come about?
Brandon Michael, we've known. I've been friends with Brandon for a while. There was a period of time, like around like 2013 ish, where Corey, our old bass player, wasn't touring with us. He had a really good job working for Ames University in Greeley, Colorado, and he had great benefits, and he was making a good amount of money, and he's just like, I'm not touring, I'm not going to take time off to he couldn't take time off his job, and he didn't want to. He had a really good job. So there was a period of time where like I had lots of fill-ins for bass, and one of them was Brandon Michael. He actually, he auditioned to fill in for a tour, and he was flat out incredible. And then Corey decided to do that tour, so so Brandon Michael didn't do that with us. And then fast forward, he was always on my radar because his audition was really that good. So when Corey told us he was going to leave the band, and we had till December, he was going to leave the band in December. So we needed to, he gave us plenty of time to try to find a guy because Corey was super legit about it. We tried out, we had lots of interesting parties, or interested parties, I should say. And they were all killer. I mean, some great players. But you have gut, you have that gut thing, and Brandon was really mine. I mean, I guess there was one of the detrimental things about Brandon was I have a Brandon. My drummer's name is Brandon, and then his last name is Michael, and I have a Michael. So we couldn't call him BM because that's pretty insulting. So we call him Boo Boo Money, and or Boo Boo Muffin if I'm feeling like loving. Yeah, that's how he got in the band, and he has been vital. I mean, one of the greatest thing about Brandon, apart from his incredible skill on the instrument, is just his attitude. It's so nice to be around someone that positive, and he doesn't, he's just a great guy to be in a band with. He's super easygoing. He is very positive, and it's hard to be in a band with a guy that there's always an issue, and he is zero. I mean, everybody, he's if you need a therapist, he's like the band therapist. If some guy's like really upset, Boo Boo will talk to him, and then suddenly it's okay. Like, he's that kind of guy.
Cool. You need the diplomat in the relationship.
That's it. He is Switzerland,
And it's important. It's important that you can hang as friends, and you have to be on the tour bus with people all over the world. And you can't just say, that guy's an incredible artist and he sucks as a person. Just not going to work.
Do it.
Not long term.
Yeah. And the fact he's such a well-rounded musician is incredible. I was rocking a piss in Whole Foods today, and near Central Station or whatever, and Union Station, and UB40 was like kicking. And I got so excited, and I'm like pissing, and I was like, Riley, UB40, bro. And he's just like, what? Like I was like, God damn it, where's Boo Boo? Because Boo Boo would have been super excited with me. Never have I wanted another guy pissing next to me as much as I wanted Boo Boo right then.
Was it their cover of Red Wine?
It was not.
It was
a different. It was a. I don't remember what, but it wasn't Red Wine.
Now I want to hear that song. I know I can hear it in my head, but I can't remember the name of it.
They're so good.
Bother me. Yeah. Spotify, Alexa, please play the not hit UB40 song.
They had a lot of hits.
They had quite a few hits. Respect UB40. Let's talk about.
I love UB40.
UB40. But all right, man. I will say at the same time, as much as this record is a quintessential record for you guys, it is definitely, it's all over the place musically, but it's also got a thread line through it that's just brutal. That last like minute 40 of Extremophiles B is just the heaviest shit I have heard this whole year. It is so hard. It physically hurt me. I had to like turn it off for a minute and be like, whoa, hug me, somebody. And, you know, it's really heavy, but there's also really cool mellow stuff. You guys followed up the very popular cover with this really crazy take on Bach, speaking of, with the guest guitarist. And I mean, it's crazy. So there's definitely stuff in there that's going to, I think, really delight fans, really surprise people about you guys, like really surprise people about Riley. And Riley's performance is pulled stuff out of him. The most brutal stuff ever, the most melodic stuff ever. I think people are going to really be impressed and surprised with.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, Riley, you know, when he came in last time, he was filling, you know, he's stepping into someone else's shoes.
Of course.
So he has, you know, when Ezra was the vocalist, you know, he has a really strong mid-range, and that was where he thrived. And that's not where Riley thrives. So when he did the last record, you know, he didn't want to, you know, upset the apple cart, as it will. So he stepped in and did a lot of mids, but that's not where he's comfortable. He's comfortable low. So, there's not a lot of mids on the new record because, you know, well, one, he's been around now, so people accepted Riley and they, you know, generally love Riley. So he kind of has free reign to do Riley now. So the result is he's going to be Riley. And that's generally a very brutal place, you know, so.
Riley is like the Barry White of death metal. I'm just going to put that out there. Trademark Ghost Cult Keefy 2019. Just putting that out there. Ghostcultmag.com trademark in the graphic there for my director. And yeah, man, really stoked for people to hear this record. It's a couple of weeks out. As you guys get ready to go on tour, what are you guys looking forward to? Like personally, is there particular songs you're looking forward to try to pull off live?
I mean, you got to play the singles, obviously. I know before the record drops, we're going to release our third single, Exothermic Chemical Combustion. And that one is, that's a ripper.
Say that 5 times fast.
Exothermic Chemical Combustion. Or I could just go, it means fire. It does. It's fire, which we can say 5 times. And a horrible musical festival. But yeah, I mean, that one, I'm looking forward to playing it, but it's also going to be a giant pain in the ass to play. It's a very hard song. So yeah, it'll be a fun challenge. It'll be one of those ones that you will struggle with. And then by the time we do the next record, we'll finally be able to play it well. That's always how it is.
Awesome. Last question, just because it's on my mind and we were talking about covers. Is there, you guys have done some very unique and interesting takes on songs. Is there an artist you would like to see in the future, Allegaeon, take a shot at that you have a pet hankering for maybe?
There's been talks about us doing Genesis, and there's been talks about us doing Yes, and just continuing kind of like exploring prog, because we're a tech death band, but me and Riley especially come from prog backgrounds, so to explore that a little bit more, I think is very exciting for him and I. But I mean, we've been talking about maybe doing some Maiden or Toto actually too. I mean, it's kind of all spread out. Michael just arranged a Jeff Buckley song that I heard last night, and it was incredible. So, whatever we do, we want it to be exciting. We want to change it enough so it's not going to be, to do something that's metal is kind of rough because that's the genre that we exist in. So how much better can we make it? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, when I mentioned Maiden, they're very specialized in what Maiden does, which is amazing. We are a little bit different than Maiden, obviously. So I feel like we could play Maiden, but make it our own. And hopefully Maiden fans don't kill us, but Rush fans didn't kill us. So, you know, if you handle everything respectively, with respect, I think it can be good. So, I mean, there's many options we have. Yeah, we have lots of ideas. And yeah, I would love to do some hair metal, but no way Riley will let us do that.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, dude,
we were Round and Round or something?
Dude, we were jamming Queensryche, and we were just like, you know, we could totally destroy this. And Riley's just like, I fucking hate this type of music.
I don't think Queensryche is quite there, but I know what you mean.
It's not, man. I think they're prog, man.
They're very proggy.
But yeah, he doesn't. He thinks they're hair metal band and won't do it.
Oh, that's weird. All right. I would love to hear you guys. I thought you did a great job with Rush. As a huge Rush fan, Rush was my first concert. I'm a massive Yes and Genesis fan. Yes is one of my first bands, one of my first influences when I played music, and I could totally see you guys pulling off a lot of mid '70s era Fragile stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I want to do something off of Drama.
Drama is a great record.
Love that.
Underrated, actually.
Yeah, that's at one of my desert island days.
Nice. Oh, well, now you opened it up. I'm going to go with one more bonus round question. So Desert Island Discs, sometimes known as the spaceship playlist here at Ghost Cult. What would be your other four if that's one of them? Drama by
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot on here. I would say Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Divine Intervention by Slayer. And then Yanni live at the Acropolis.
Shocker at the end there.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a huge Yanni fan.
Huge Yanni fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Pretty cool. That's very, like all the music you discussed today, very eclectic, but, you know, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yanni. All right, then.
Yanni, yes, and Thrash Guys.
And Jeff Buckley, also rest in peace. So pretty cool. Greg, man, thank you for nerding out with me and talking about all this musical stuff. This is a real treat to actually get to talk about some technical production and guitar stuff here at Ghost Cult. I am Keefy. This is Greg from Allegaeon. Apoptosis is the record. It comes out on April 19th on Metal Blade Records. Once again, Keefy from Ghost Cult Magazine, ghostcultmag.com. We are out.